going to look at creating a surface using LandXML as an input file. And if you're not familiar with LandXML, what that is a non-proprietary data standard that software companies such as Bentley and Autodesk, Eagle Point, they all got together to develop a format where they could transfer engineering data between the software packages. That's what we're going to use. And instead of using the standard InRoads Explorer dialog box, I'm going to use the taskbar over here. This is the Select Series version of InRoads. It's incorporated, the InRoads commands are incorporated in the MicroStation interface. So I'm going to start using those. So I'm just going to right click, select Explorer Show Hide, and dismiss InRoads Explorer. And the goal is to create a contour map or a draw or a DTM that we can create contours from whatever we want. So I'm just going to remove the graphics here. That's an illustration of where we're headed. So what I have here on the left side is my InRoads commands. I also have active project properties open. I don't have any surfaces in memory. I'm just going to create one on the fly. So I'm going to go back to my InRoads commands and select import, and this is the LandXML translator. Now these toolbars, if you're not familiar with them, are no different than what you find on the InRoads Explorer menu, or with this new version, it's incorporated into the MicroStation interface here. So same place. This is all I'm doing is just grabbing it from the icons in the taskbar. So what I want to do is I want to import a LandXML file. And what we're going to do is we're going to come right down to the bottom, and the first thing I'm going to do is specify the file that I'm importing. So once I data point in that file name field, I can select Browse, and I want to go get the InRoads data for this particular project. Here's that XML file. I'm going to select Open. Now that that's been populated, there's a couple things I can do. I can preview that data to see what it looks like. This is just what an XML data or XML file contains. And there are some tags, elements, or attributes, they're commonly called, in here. And at the bottom here you can see we have sets of coordinate pairs followed by elevations, point ID numbers, and some other tagged information up here. Now that's a little bit hard to read. Another way to look at that is simply open it with a web browser. If I just go to Windows Explorer here, here's this file that we're opening. If I double click on that, it'll open it in a web browser. And those tags are color coded so they pop out. It shows us the schema, which is important. Just like any other software vendor, there's different releases and versions. In LandXML they call those schemas. We have to make sure that the schema matches up from the export to the schema that we have on our import software. Generally, you don't have to worry about that. You can just use it and go. And if things don't work, you need to start drilling down into that schema to make sure things are compatible. Other things that are in here is such things as what unit was created in, and then other data that comes from either the data collector or the software package. This I can see it came out of Civil Survey 2010. It was Eagle Point software. Author is D. King, and even the surface name is illustrated here. Not illustrated, but listed. And then there's our point data. So let's go ahead and get that imported, create a DTM out of it. So let's just get back to InRoads here. And what this dialog has are two parts, surfaces and geometry. So obviously you can use LandXML to transfer both surfaces and geometry back and forth between packages. And I've had a lot of success doing that. It works really well. So the first thing I'm going to do is assign the feature style that gets assigned to these, and these are going to be random points. So I'm just picking random from my drop-down list here, and I'll also say just call them random. Assign a random name to them in the DTM, and I do want to include triangle points. Those are those XYZ vertices. I should be good to go. I'm just going to select Apply, let those import. And once that's done importing, we can do anything we can with any other type of InRoads surface, display triangles, contours, compute volumes, cross sections, profiles, that type of information. Now that that file's been imported, let's take a look at it through InRoads. And what I'm going to do is I'll just start out with displaying triangles. And I will be prompted to retriangulate because this has not been triangulated before. So I simply want to answer yes. And we'll get that out of the way, and I can see the triangle vertices that have been imported. And that did include these spot elevations or localized highs and lows were in that DTM. Now what I didn't get are break lines. It was not in that XML file. I might have another XML file that would have those break lines in, and I can import that. Or if they were in the original file. I really don't need to see those triangles, so I'm just going to remove them and maybe display contours here just so we can see what things look like. Load up a preference here. Get that out of the way, and there's our DTM. All we have to do is save it out and we are set to go. That's importing LandXML file to create a surface.